some community college, small colleges may not have the funding or the time to send their techs to a in-person training.
And say that louder for the people in the back, because as somebody who grew up in this industry at a community college and a community college in Illinois, so not only didn't I have any money, I really didn't have any money, right?
Everyone learns differently. There's always that, let me read it, show me, let me do it. Some people can learn online. Some people need to be in a place physically touching the equipment. Moving 100% to online, I don't think is the way to go. Or 100% to in-person is the way to go. Having options.
This is wrinkling my brain.
This is wrinkling my brain.
That's wrinkling my brain.
Online AV education, expanded distribution services, and updating AV certifications. All that and more. Next on AV Week. This is AV Week, episode 725, recorded Friday, July 11th, 2025. Services first. This is AV Week, your weekly wrap-up of the biggest news and stories in the AV and IT world. This week, we've got acquisition falls through and new interactive display features, plus the Ivona 2030 awards. Let's get into it. We start with a reversal in the projector space. Panasonic has officially called off its planned sale of its projector business to Oryx. Now, the proposed deal announced earlier this year would have seen Oryx take over Panasonic's projector manufacturing operations. According to the statement this week, the companies, quote unquote, couldn't reach final agreement on key terms. That might mean money, that might mean who knows what. This means Panasonic projectors will remain under the company's direct control, at least for now. No word yet on what this means for long-term strategy or product development. Meanwhile, Clear One continues to fight for its survival. The Utah-based AV manufacturer announced this week it has secured new financing and is entering a restructuring phase as it seeks a buyer. The move comes after several quarters of financial shrinking revenue. While the company remains operational, executives say they're exploring, quote unquote, strategic alternatives and will continue serving existing customers during the transition. If you're a Clear One partner or customer, now is a great time to get in touch with your rep and stay in touch with them. In product news, LG is rolling out a new Chrome OS slot-in device specifically for its Create board interactive displays. These boards are designed with education and enterprise environments in mind. The slot-in module turns the Create board into a full-fledged Chrome OS computer, which gives users access to stuff like Google Workspace, Google Apps, Cloud Apps, and all that stuff without the need for a separate device. If your teams are supporting Google-based workflows, this could possibly simplify deployments and streamline digital classroom or meeting room setups. And finally, Steph Beckett from Rave Pubs and AV Buyers Club and me, we got together to deliver the Ivona 2030 Top 10 Awards for Infocom 2025. This is the second annual list. It highlights AV manufacturers and innovators leading the charge towards sustainability, inclusivity, and future readiness. Winners this year included Data Video, Displace TV, NetSpeak, and the Shure Microflex Next 4 and Next 8. The award is intended to highlight products and services that deliver exceptional solutions to IT and AV pros. That wraps up our top stories for the week. We will be back with our roundtable discussion where we will look at distribution and online AV education. This is AV Week. Welcome back. Now we bring in our fantastic roundtable, and we have a absolutely stacked cast for you with us to discuss all the news and information we have gathered. First and foremost, Kelly Teal, welcome, ma'am.
Thank you for having me, as always.
Thank you so much. Victoria Ferrari from CTI out of Houston.
Hey, Tim.
And this is where I remind you that our AVNation is owned by CTI, but I've had Victoria on for years, so nothing to do with that. Nathan Catino, a young man I got to know over the last 6 months or year or so. He's fantastic. He is from Logitech. Welcome, sir.
Thanks for having me on again. Good to see everyone.
And he has a better mic and a better voice than me, so that's right there.
It's just a mic.
And then James King, old friend, who now is at UNLV. Welcome, sir.
Calling me old because I got gray in my beard?
Old friend, as in I have been friends with you for a long time.
I got you, Tim.
And if you're not watching the video, Nathan is 100% pointing out his salt and pepper.
No, I'm doing good, Tim. And you?
I am doing fine. See, that's the reason I don't grow a beard, is so it doesn't have salt and pepper. That and I can't grow one. In an opinion piece for AV Network, Phil Langley explains how the traditional quote unquote pick, pack, and ship model for AV distributors is transforming into a broader service-led paradigm. 100% something we've seen for the last couple of years. He goes on to talk about the fact that they're doing things like staging, testing, offsite assembly, engineering, programming, logistics support. It is no longer just a box retailer, right? It is no longer a big warehouse where integrators say, hey, I need 1, 2, and 3 of this, right? This is a shift in this area where they're calling it a strategic point of distribution model, SPOD. It's supposed to foster early collaboration among distributors and integrators and, quite frankly, end users. Victoria, we're going to start with you on this. As the integrator on this panel, how are integrators responding to this practice? How are they responding to this model? And are they doing what distributors are wanting to do, which is engaging earlier?
Yeah, I think, the distributors, like you said, back in the day, it was kind of just like, hey, I need a quote, send me this. Okay. Well, I love that, as AV gets more and more commoditized, they've figured out how to be more valuable. And, I worked for an IT integrator back in 2007, and we heavily used distribution. And I asked the CEO at the time, I'm like, why can't we just buy this direct? Don't we buy enough? Why can't we just go direct to the manufacturer and save the few points or whatever? He said, no, what they do for us is so valuable. Having them as the middleman, quote unquote, they help in all kinds of ways. The strategic distribution, if you've got a global rollout, for example, you have equipment in different locations and the distributor can ship from, if you got one in Europe or whatever, you got one in the US, and it just helps with taxes and shipping. And I mean, there's all kinds of things. And then on top of that, their training, I've found training from a distributor is sometimes more valuable than direct from the manufacturer, because they kind of learn more hands-on. They leave out some of the jargon that manufacturers don't even realize, that they're saying, and acronyms and stuff. And so I love taking training from distributors. And then the final thing is, I totally see, at this point, integrators really choose who they're going to buy it from, which distributor. Yeah. But I would love to see end users getting in on that conversation. And, whether it's the integrator or the distributor start going direct to end users and then bring us leads, that would be awesome. But what I'd love to see is integrators asking their end user and saying hey, we can have an interview with these couple distributors or whatever and see where they add value and which one's going to be the best. And that just helps you be more sticky, in that account. But yeah, I think, distributors are very valuable, and what they've figured out, it really, the integrators need to look at it and look at that kind of model and say, how can we be more valuable to our end users? How can we get different streams of revenue, and look at how distributors have done it. So
we just so happen to have an end user on the call. So Mr. James King, working more and closer to distributors, how does that strike you, and what sort of value would you be looking for?
So I actually want to hit on something that Victoria mentioned about that training, because that's interesting. I have yet to be a benefactor of that distributed trainer, but manufacturer's training, and again, I don't want this to be a knock on manufacturers, but I've always told my team, when you're taking the manufacturer training, when you're taking the 101, it's a sales pitch. Just get through it, then get into the other ones. And I understand why the manufacturers are doing it. I'm not trying to knock them, but it's once you get into the 102s, the 103s, and the higher levels, that's where you get the meat. So getting away from that would be valuable as a manager to provide to my team. So that's something I'm going to look into. Now, buying from a distributor, to me right now, that it's just changing who I'm buying from. Um, I'm still learning the values there. I came from when I first got in higher ed, we did 99% installs ourselves in house. So everything was drop ship. We called our integrator partner saying we need X, Y, and Z. They shipped it to us. We did it all in house. Here we leverage more of our integrator. The level there is probably more 80-20 right now. So, and they bring value. I love the integrated company we're working with right now. So it's really a balancing of, okay, who I'm buying the equipment from. Now, the one concern I have from a end user, because I am the end user in the mind of integrators and distributors, but I am not the true end user. I'm a in-house integrator. That's what we do. We integrate for our business here, our education. Is if the distributor is racking, testing, and then it's going to the integrator and they're racking, testing, and then it comes to me and something's not working, whose neck am I wringing? It's just another more hands on it. So I am in the wait and see. Does it add value or doesn't it? Or is just another neck I need to wring?
Right. Nathan, you got a unique perspective here, and I've said this before. I didn't know what stories I was pulling when I got Nathan on, but Nathan has worked for both distributors and manufacturers. So, from your perspective, what sort of services, what sort of added value can distributors add, and is that valuable both to you as a manufacturer, but also to folks like James?
So two different perspectives. Typically, I have not seen too many customers go directly to a distributor for training. I mean, that could happen over time, but the reason why they're building it, and by the way, over the last 3 years, we've seen a significant amount of growth in this space. Growth as in they're creating more capabilities. There are so many distributors that we are actually doing technical training for now. 5 years ago, that almost never happened. You know, it's like, these are the products. This is how many you want to try to get to sell into the market. That was it. Now they've set up labs. They're doing training for their partners, like Victoria mentioned. That's a huge value. I will agree with James on, yes, there's lots of marketing, right, in a lot of the trainings. I think we're getting better at it, but to your point, the manufacturer has their point of view. They want to make sure they get all their points across, which is why we do that. But the 400 level, there's more of that happening now. And you've probably seen some of that from Logitech, where we're doing a lot with our partners at the 300, 400 level training. I think as we have, especially from AV in the span of video conferencing, because it has exploded so much over the last, 4 years, there's definitely a need for it, right? Because partners are trying to get these rooms installed as fast as possible. Even though the technology is getting a little bit easier, there's still a lot of integration needs. So I think having the expertise at the distribution level really, really helps. And that it actually takes off some of the pressure off all the AV integrators as well. So I think this is a good thing. I don't think the intention is to go direct to customer because, again, that, James, you brought up lots of good points there, as in, who do I call when it breaks? Who's responsible for next day support, things like that. And that's definitely not in their purview today. I say today because things could change, but I don't believe that's the intent. They're just trying to make sure that their resellers, AV resellers, AV integrators have as much skill as they can, what they can learn from the manufacturer, thereby us, and then pass that on to the reseller. So I think this is a good thing, and it has definitely changed. I mean, there's no doubt about it. I've seen it firsthand.
Kelly, you also got a unique perspective. Kelly is not only a consultant, but she also acts a lot of times as a customer's advocate in various meetings. Take me through, what you would advise a customer as they're looking at these different opportunities. And to James's point, you've designed a system, but the way that the actual final rack gets to the site and then installed. I'll use James's example here. It has touched, half a dozen techs, right? So how would you navigate this alongside an IT or an AV manager?
Yeah, so from a consultant standpoint, especially today, distributors, we have to explain they do far more than just move product, right? So we help, and we help also have the client on the client side understand that they ensure the product availability first and foremost. That's always a big hurdle. And they also provide that technical and design support. And then they give AV and IT decision makers access to a wider range of brands, training, expertise. But I think what's really transforming the industry today is how all of this feeds into that broader service-led model. And so many distributors will now offer remote monitoring or managed services or even AV as a service, so that they're not just helping deliver these systems, they're helping us and the client side manage and scale them long term. And I think that personally, I think that shift turns distributors into true partners. And I think that's what the client wants to see. They want to reduce their project risk and they want to bridge that gap between AV and IT. And ultimately, that helps us deliver more of a reliable and future-ready solution. And it's becoming more of a well-known, solution as we go further and further into this paradigm-led shift. And I think that, our clients and our AV and IT teams that we work with, I think once they see that, continuing to progress and advance. I think that's something that I don't have to, as a consultant, explain as much anymore or show them from our side. I think it's just kind of something that's not just becoming a consultant standpoint, but it's also becoming the standpoint from the client. So I do think that they personally do more than just move those products. I think what their focus is now and what they're gearing towards is just helping us with those two major points, which is reducing project risk and bridging that gap.
Yeah, absolutely. I like that. We talked about education slightly here. We're going to dig into it here a little bit deeper. Extron has expanded access to its network AV specialist and AVS certification by launching a self-paced, fully online version of the program in early July 2025, so just about a week ago. It is aimed at AV professionals working with IP-based AV systems. The NAVS curriculum covers network AV fundamentals, system design and planning, configuration, troubleshooting, practical use of Extron's Navigator System Manager, and a whole lot more. The education also includes continuing education units through AVIXA and BIXI. Mr. King, I'm going to start with you. This is not the only place you can get online education and, quite frankly, online certification through a manufacturer or through various organizations. How is this shift to online going to change both participation rates, but also the overall, I'll call it the AV IQ of the industry?
I think that's a loaded question, because what's very good with the online training is it does help equally, because let's admit it, some community college, small colleges may not have the funding or the time to send their techs to a in-person training.
Pause for a second and say that louder for the people in the back, because as somebody who grew up in this industry at a community college and a community college in Illinois, so not only didn't I have any money, I really didn't have any money. Right?
Yeah, not everyone can get in person, and like I even me being part of UNLV, even though I'm in med school, we are beneficial that we do have bigger bank than you did, Tim, in your time. But we also got to be mindful. Like I can't always send my texts out to a 2-3 day, because business is still going on, education is still going on. So if they can do it at pace, it's great, because hey, you got downtime here. I can give you an hour, go find a room, go work on this, and then pick it back up. But that doesn't work for everybody. Everyone learns differently. There's always that, let me read it, show me, let me do it. Some people can learn online. Some people need to be in a place physically touching the equipment. So moving 100% to online, I don't think is the way to go, or 100% to in-person is the way to go. Having options, that's his key. If these manufacturers want, online, hey, here's our online side, here's our in-person, you pick and choose, that's the way to go. Because I'm somebody, I believe, you follow me, I always say, always be learning. So anywhere I can be learning, I am. So That's my take.
To James's point on just generic learning types, Chuck Espinoza, who works for Aurora now, but back when he worked for Avixa, Chuck was one of their instructors. I believe he was their lead instructor. And Chuck, before you came to class, in-person class, James, at Avixa out in Virginia, Chuck would stalk you on social. Now, not in a weird, creepy way, but he could tell by your photos, by how you interacted, he could tell what type of learner you were. And he would strategically place you in his class. He explained it to me once. It was fascinating because for those that were more reading, like they could read it, he would put them in the back of the class, right? Because they could just hang back, read the material, no big deal. For folks who were visual, he moved them closer to the class, right? So James, you make a really good point about the different types of learning. So that you're probably right. This is having options is probably a good idea. Nathan, same kind of question, because manufacturers absolutely have education, here, there, and everywhere. Does this help adoption? Does it help, right, facilitate the education and the knowledge across the industry, or should this just be a part and a piece of the overall AV education landscape?
I think we should do both. And just coming off Infocom, where we filled multiple classrooms, people want to learn in person. They want to touch, they want to feel, right? Should we have an option to have it recorded and played back online? Absolutely. There should be no situation where we don't do that today. Recording is cheap. It's not expensive. It doesn't cost a lot to host it anymore. There's the way to record it is super easy now. But after, I actually was wondering about the same thing, because we do a lot of online education in addition to manufacturer trainings in person. But after I saw the attendees where there were people standing room only at Infocom, I was like, okay, people really still want this. This is the best way to do it. And let's be honest, guys, we all take online classes. Who concentrates 100%, right? We're always distracted. It's the dog, it's you're hungry, you go off to do something. You just don't have attention. In a classroom, you're stuck. You can't move. I mean, of course, you could go outside and take a break, but it's way better than trying to get distracted by everything else. This is just like reading a book versus trying to read a book on an iPad, right? You'll just get distracted instantly. So that's my perspective. I think we should have both. People should absolutely do both. The one thing I will say I'm disappointed at is when we were all remote during the pandemic, a lot of these events were all virtual. And now they're slowly starting to become only in person. And that's a massive disadvantage, not just for us, but more so for the people that cannot get out of the office or get out of the house every day, those that are not able bodies, those that have disabilities, right? And I've been kind of trying to preach as much as I can, like, please, if you have an in-person event, at least record it so they can watch it. Yeah. But I don't see people making it a priority, which is really unfortunate.
It is. And you're right. We're slowly getting back to 2019, 2018, where, to do something virtual it felt like pulling teeth. Kelly, I'm going to take and give you a curveball here because you are the consultant, and there are a couple different things here. You've got. I'm going to equate a little bit Kelly to architects, and stay with me for a second. She's not an architect, right? So don't misunderstand. The AIA has something where you have to re-up and recertify every few years, right? Doctors, of course, do that. Technology moves very, very fast, especially in IP-based networks. How do we ensure that once you've got your certification, whether that is an Extron certification, a Logi certification, I'll pick on Avixa, the CTS, I or D, how do you make sure that certification and that knowledge stays up to date, right? Should there be some sort of recertification in the industry?
Yeah, and I think like when you get your CTS, for example, you have to keep up with it, right? Otherwise, you lose that certification. So as a consultant, again, I think, yes, there should be some recertification. Now, whether that's in line or in person, they both really importantly serve different needs. So like the online training, which I do like because I get busy. I work sometimes up to 60, 70 hours a week. And I'm the biggest, I guess I judge the certification industry the most out of everybody because I don't have time. They've become expensive, and it's you got to upfront that cost. But outside of that, it does make it a little easier to offer that online training. So it makes it easy to stay current. whether that's new product standards, which is huge as an AV and IT converge and consultant. The in-person training, I don't want to go away. I think it is still critical for real hands-on experience and networking with peers, especially people getting into this industry, which, as everybody knows, there's really no in between me and the newcomers right now. Even when I get calls from recruiters, they say, "Oh, well, we need someone with 15 years experience, but all these people have 30 years plus experience. You're one of the few that have around the experience level that we need." And, so we're trying to get more people into the industry. And I think in-person training is critical for that. But together they help raise that, like you said, the overall AVIQ in the industry. And that wider online access means more people can participate, which is great. But those downsides is one that if too much online training can create a paper certified crowd with less practical skill. Another is the cost again. Some certifications, especially manufacturer-specific ones, can be expensive and need to be renewed often, which can add up fast. And then travel for in-person training can be another barrier. I personally don't have the time right now to do that. So as consultants, I think we really push for a balance. And then that goal isn't just collecting certifications and having alphabet soup behind your name, right? But really building that expertise that delivers better outcomes for clients. I think the online would be great for someone like me who just wants to renew, but I think we keep that in person for people who do need to get that hands-on experience. I completely agree with that point.
Kelly, can you say that louder? Sorry. Because that's true. I have seen so many people who are certification ninjas, but they cannot do AV out of a paper bag.
It's become more and more apparent in the last 5 years, I think. Since COVID, I would say since online. I started in the industry when it was only in person. You had to go travel. And I see both sides because I only had that option as a newcomer. But as the person who's been doing this for 15 years, I also see what it's creating. And we have people with alphabet soup, RCDDs, CTSs, and they can't design a system.
100%. I agree with you. And I'm someone who likes my certifications, but yeah. Sorry, Victoria.
No, you're fine, dude. That's the whole thing. So I'm going to bring Victoria in this because Victoria has also a couple of different perspectives. She worked for a manufacturer for a number of years, and now she works for an integrator. So from both sides, Victoria, what is number one? What is the value in general of AV education, and then look at the differences between in person and then online.
Yeah, to echo what everyone said, I mean, everyone learns differently, and then there's varying degrees of ways to learn. I think also, the younger generation, a lot of them are very autodidactic. They're watching YouTube videos, they're researching things, they're asking AI agents. So there's so many different ways to gather knowledge now, not just sitting in a classroom, not just taking an online test. And like for me personally, and I'm sure there's other people out there like this, I can't say something that I've learned in a classroom that wasn't more valuable learning it on the ground, or in the field. So, it's like you can read a book, you can read all about how to drive a car, but until you're actually in the car, you're never going to really know what it's like. So yeah, I think it's important that everybody has all the different options available, in person, online with a live teacher or online with recorded videos. I mean, all of that is valuable. And then different people can pick and choose how they want to learn and how they're going to, retain that knowledge.
Even that dynamic, Victoria, is the difference between watching something recorded and having somebody alive, right? Somebody alive, I can raise my hand and ask questions and say, hey, I didn't get that. Can you explain that? Or I don't know what that acronym stands for. So can you tell me without asking ChatGPT? All right. I think we've gotten in enough trouble today. Let's get out of here. Thank you all so much. Kelly Teal, how do people connect with you?
I am only on LinkedIn under Kelly Teal.
Nothing wrong with that. Victoria Ferrari, thank you, ma'am. How do people connect with you?
Yeah, you can check out cti.com or me, Victoria Ferrari. I'm on LinkedIn. And that's probably about it.
All right, very good. Mr. James King, thank you, sir. How do people connect with you?
Google me. You'll find me. I'm out there.
Jesus, Google you. And how do people find your podcast, sir? That was ranked in the top 10 of programming podcasts.
Yeah, thank you, Tim. It's Ask the Programmer. That's a podcast I do with co-host Steve Greenblatt. We got 200 plus episodes, and yeah, we're ranked number 7 out of the top 100.
Yeah, there you go. Congratulations there. Nathan, good to see you, sir, as always. How do people connect with you or Logitech?
Best way to find me is on LinkedIn, just linkedin.com/in/Nathan Coutinho, and our website, logitech.com.
And your podcast, sir?
Oh, yeah, that's right. I forgot about that. So I'm on so many projects, right, Tim? So our podcast is called Unscripted. It's on the Logitech YouTube channel, which is called Logitech for Business. So you can find that on YouTube.
Yeah. My name is Tim Albright. Don't follow me anywhere. Although I will say this, you can find me on LinkedIn, where I write about nothing to do with technology. However, Mr. Nathan gave me a run for my money this week on his article. So go check out his first, and then you can go check out mine. But go by the website if you would, please. AVNation.tv. That's AVNation.tv. You will find this program and a host of others, including a brand new Women in AV, where our friend Erica Carroll talks with Michelle Lorette. So you can check that out. If you're watching this on YouTube and you're tired of looking at me, you can go listen to this podcast, and that's it. No, just audio, anywhere you get your podcast. And if you're listening to this and you want to know what it's like to watch 4 guests, you can go to YouTube. So go the opposite direction. But go by the website if you would, please. AVNation.tv. That's AVNation.tv. Thanks so much for listening. Thank you so much for watching. That is all the time we have for AV Week.
The network for the AV industry.
What are you listening to?
This
is AV.
This
is AV Nation.
This is AV Nation.